The day I ruined everything started with sunlight drowning the city in gold, traffic humming like a restless heartbeat, and me, Armin Qureshi, standing outside a bus terminal with nothing but a worn backpack and a job offer I was dangerously close to losing. I didn't know that on that same hot afternoon, a woman with trembling hands and a wounded past would step into my life, speak a sentence that would change everything, and make me question why I had taken relationships so lightly. Life has a strange way of handing you moments you're completely unprepared for, and sometimes, if you're lucky, they become the moments that save you. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the unexpected beauty of life, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Your support keeps these stories alive. The heat felt heavier than usual as I walked toward my new workplace, an outdoor equipment store near Goulburg Market where I was supposed to start as a junior designer. Money was tight, deadlines were tighter, and every day felt like a race against something I couldn't quite name. That's when I first noticed her. She was standing near a small cafe, her shoulders hunched, her phone gripped in her fingers like it was the only anchor keeping her from drifting apart. Her name, as I'd learn, was Mira Jafar, a name that sounded both strong and fragile at the same time. She looked like someone who was trying very hard not to break in public. I wasn't planning on interfering with a stranger's life. But then again, life rarely cares about our plans. I overheard her speaking nervously to someone on the phone, her words rushed, her breath uneven. She said something about her family visiting from another city, something about them pressuring her to settle down, something about not wanting to show them she was alone again. The phrase, again, lingered in the air long after she said it, and I didn't know why, but it made my stomach twist. When she hung up, she looked up and caught me staring, not intentionally, but because she looked so lost that it was impossible not to. For some ridiculous reason, trying to ease the tension, I joked that I could pretend to be her boyfriend if it helped. I expected her to laugh. Roll her eyes. Walk away. Instead, she blinked, inhaled, and in a trembling yet determined voice said something that stunned me. "We'll need practice. No one will buy it." That was the moment everything shifted. I had never agreed to anything so quickly or so foolishly in my life. I didn't know her. She didn't know me. Yet within minutes, we were sitting together in that cafe, trying to invent a story convincing enough to satisfy her family. The whole situation felt absurd, but the more she talked, the more I understood the weight she carried. Mira had left a long, suffocating relationship months earlier, one where she had given everything but received very little in return. Her family didn't understand why she walked away. They saw only what looked good on the outside, not the loneliness that lived inside her home. She wasn't ready to tell them the truth. She wasn't ready to show them how deeply bruised she still was. She needed protection, not from people, but from pressure, judgment, and the fear of disappointing those she loved. And somehow, I became that shield. Over the next weeks, the pretend relationship moved from joke to plan. We met during lunch breaks, after work, or before her relatives would call her. We sat in parks flooded by warm daylight, cafes filled with soft music, and library corners where sunlight streaked across the floor like a warm blanket. She told me about her dreams, her fears, her struggles, and her feeling of constantly needing to prove she was okay. I wondered how someone so composed on the outside could be fighting storms no one else noticed. I told her about my own battles too, my father's illness years back, the debt I had worked 3 part-time jobs to clear, the crushing anxiety of trying to build a life from scratch. We became each other's quiet refuge, not realizing that something real was quietly blooming between us. But fake stories have real consequences, sometimes beautiful, sometimes painful. Her family arrived on a bright Sunday morning. I met them at her house, a lovely white cottage with flowering plants spilling from terracotta pots. Her mother had soft, kind eyes, her father carried a seriousness softened by curiosity, her younger sister eyed me like she could read every lie I hadn't even spoken yet. Mira stood beside me in a pale peach dress, her face calm, but her fingers trembling slightly every time her family looked away. We played our roles flawlessly. We laughed when we were supposed to. We stood close enough to look convincing. We shared fragments of rehearsed stories. But it was one unplanned moment that changed everything. During lunch, her father asked how we met. Before I could recite the version we had practiced, Mira looked at me with a softness I hadn't seen before, then she spoke. She said I came into her life when she felt she had nothing left to offer anyone. She said I made her feel seen, heard, and respected. She said I made her believe she wasn't broken beyond repair. Her voice wavered only once, and it wasn't from fear, but from truth. The room fell quiet. My chest tightened. Her words were supposed to be pretend. But they didn't feel pretend. They felt painfully real. And in that moment, I realized with a clarity that terrified me, I wasn't acting anymore. After her family left, the air between us felt heavier than any lie we had told. We sat together under the afternoon light, the house quiet, the world suddenly slower. Mira looked at me like she wanted to say something, but couldn't. I felt the same. We had built a story to protect her, but somewhere along the line, the story had started protecting me too. The more time I spent with her, the more I realized how deeply I looked forward to her laughter, her thoughts, her presence. But I didn't want to risk her trust. I didn't want to turn her healing into another tangled chapter of confusion. I cared too much. So we stepped back. Not completely, just enough to breathe. Enough to remind ourselves that this began as pretend. She focused on her work at the publishing house. I poured myself into my design projects. We met less frequently, and each time we did, it felt like something unsaid hovered in the space between us. It was a strange ache, quiet, gentle, but persistent. Then came the day everything shattered. Myra's family extended their stay unexpectedly. Her father wanted to meet me again, alone. I panicked. Not because I couldn't keep acting, but because acting felt wrong now. I didn't want to lie to a man who clearly loved his daughter. I didn't want to disrespect the trust he had shown me. And I didn't want to keep pretending I wasn't in love with her. That evening, as the sun dipped below the skyline, painting the sky with amber and rose, I walked to her house with a decision that felt both terrifying and necessary. I told her everything. I told her I couldn't keep pretending, not because I didn't care, but because I cared too much. I told her I wanted to stop lying to her family. I told her she deserved someone who stepped into her life honestly. Her reaction wasn't what I expected. She didn't cry. She didn't panic. She didn't hide. Instead, she stepped closer, her eyes warm, her voice softer than the evening breeze. She said I had been honest from the beginning, even when the story wasn't. She said I had been the only person who didn't try to mold her into something else. And then she said something that would stay with me forever, that somewhere between the pretend smiles and the practiced hand-holding, she had found something real too. We confessed everything, not with dramatic speeches, but with quiet truth. The kind of truth that feels like coming home after being lost for a very long time. The next day, Mira told her family the truth. She told them I was originally a pretend boyfriend, but she also told them she had found something genuine in the process. Her father listened silently, then smiled and said that sometimes life brings the right people in the strangest ways. He didn't ask for details. He didn't judge her. He simply said he was happy she looked alive again. And she did look alive. Her laughter became brighter. Her steps became lighter. She no longer felt like a woman holding herself together, she felt like someone rediscovering her own worth. And I felt honored to witness that transformation.